Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Sekiro Shadows Die Twice. As I've been playing this game for the last week, and I've finished it now, a lot of people are asking for my opinion on it, especially if you are fans of the Souls series and how it relates to that, as people have had mixed reviews. In fact, there are lots of controversies surrounding this game, from people claiming it's too difficult, to people claiming it's just a quick time game. All kinds of things have been levied at it. So hopefully I can show a little bit off for you today and you can make your own mind up. That is generally the idea. What we have here is a game that is... It has elements of the Souls series. Like, there are things you will definitely recognize. One in particular is in the bottom right. You can see I have an item called the Healing Gourd. And I have this quick item menu, the same you would see in any Souls game. And I can put things in there like a Homeward Idol, which is very representative of a Homeward Bone. And a Healing Gourd, which is basically an Estus Flask. So you will see things like that. On top of that, you will see things like these Sculptor's Idols, which are, for most intents and purposes, they are in fact just bonfires. Okay? Now, that's kind of where the similarities differ, or end, I should say. That's where it kind of comes to an end. You will pick up items. There's a little bit of a description with the items, but the story, let's start with the story first of all, as it's going to be relevant to what we talk about later. In this case, the story is told to you pretty much head on. It's not like the Souls games where the story is very bare bones on the main characters, and it kind of just points you in the right direction. In this one, you are going to have a much more front-loaded story like you'd expect to see in a lot of modern games. Huge amounts of dialogue that it's hard to keep up with. The voice acting is tremendous. I tried both the English and stuff. The choice of acting is very good. If you play it in the native Japanese, which is how the game starts, and it will tell you at the start, it's like, by the way, we're in Japanese, but you can change it. It's very slow. It's very, 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 very slow. But it is the experience, obviously, the guys wanted you to have, so that's something to bear in mind. It does mean that the story gets a little lost in the wayside. It's also a much simpler story. Not saying the Dark Souls story, like exactly what was happening, was difficult. It was always the background and the lore of the world that was more intrinsic. There is a little bit of lore here, not as much as I think Souls fans would appreciate. But the story generally revolves around you being the Shinobi for a divine heir, and you are immortal, as are several other people in the world. Now, immortal, although you do die, we can go and die. If you die, you will have the option to resurrect. Now, you can see we have had some damage in the past. So you see I'm missing my left arm, and I, in fact, have a prosthetic arm, which is what's been shown in a lot of the trailers and stuff. And the prosthetic arm can be outfitted with a number of different tools, depending on your scenario, one of which is the grappling hook that you start with. Now, the grappling hook, a lot of people expected, or maybe the impression was there. God, this game is gorgeous, isn't it? Maybe had the impression that that would allow you to grapple anywhere. Now, I'm not even sure how that system would have possibly worked, but instead it does work on grapple points. You can see them there. You can see the circle will fill in and get brighter the closer I am. When it's green, it means I can go there. It's as simple as that, really. It does mean that on occasion, you know there's a grapple point there, because they've tried to seamlessly blend them into the world, so it'll be like a bit of decoration on the side of a roof, a tree branch, something that looks relatively natural. You can see that sort of point sticking out. Now, you can see I can't access this from there, but I can from here. See, the line of sight has to be perfect. So on some occasions, you will be like, I know there's a grapple point there, but you won't be able to get it. In fact, sometimes they're completely blocked out of your view in order to get them. And when there's several, it obviously takes you to the point that you were initially looking at. So we've got another bonfire here. Now, as I said, the ability to resurrect does come with problems. So if we jump down here, hopefully we'll find a guy who will nicely kill us. No, we're not going to do that yet. We're going to do it here. Hello, friend. I am your friendly neighborhood Shinobi. Please hack me to death. And as you can see, still quite Souls-like is even these basic enemies, the basic starter enemies. This is the start of the game. I have no intention of spoiling anything for anyone. We will be jumping to a late game character later, but I promise you no story spoilers at all. I'll just be showing some tools. So here we go. Loyal Wolf, take my blood and live again. So I now have the option to resurrect. Okay. Now if I rest at a bonfire, because you can see in the bottom left above my health bar, is I no longer have any. That's like grayed out. So if we can escape combat, bye. We can escape combat and pop back up to where our bonfire is, or Sculptor's Idol. When we rest, you'll notice that charge returns. You see in the bottom left-hand corner, we have that red charge. And that is your ability to resurrect. Now, Dying and resurrecting and just dying in general and coming back to life, whether you choose to resurrect in combat or not, does have consequences. And that's something you need to be aware of. Particularly why I'm mentioning the story now. One of them is you're not just coming back to life because video games. You're coming back to life because you're sucking the life out of people in the world. Oops. My bad. My bad, yeah. And this will curse various characters, certainly NPCs you want to interact with the dragon rot. The disease, the dragon rot. The more you die, the worse and worse this is going to get. Ultimately, storyline NPCs and stuff will start dying. And once they're gone, they're gone. There's nothing you can do about it. However, you can cure the dragon rot for literally everybody at your shrine. There will be an option here later on in the game which allows you to cure the dragon rot for the world, and therefore you can keep the NPCs alive and healthy. So, the dragon rot, dying and resurrecting, isn't something you need to overly concern yourself with, but it's something you need to be aware of and manage occasionally. If a lot of people have got it, then it's probably worth curing it. That's all I'm going to say. Otherwise, them NPCs will be gone forever. Now, let's leave the story there for now. Let's talk about the combat and a lot of what people have a problem with. In Sekiro, very, very rarely do you kill enemies by actually depleting their health bar, right? That's not how this game wants you to play, and this is the biggest problem I think people have with Sekiro, and it's completely understandable as well. In this game, you are challenged essentially to reduce the enemy's posture. Now, as you can see here, you can just see a health bar above this character's head. However, if I should aggro him, because I don't want to death blow him, and I hit him, see a new bar appears. That's his posture bar. I have one too. Hit me. See? There's my posture bar at the bottom. Oh, see my posture building? Yeah? Now, you can kill me while depleting my health bar. Whoa, I'm back from the dead. Are you afraid? Should be. What the game really wants you to do is actually knock enemies off balance. Like that. You see his health's full, but that red circle appeared. If you manage to empty an enemy's posture bar, then you will be able to instantly kill them via a death blow. And this is true of everything in the game, including every boss. This combat system, if you can get on board with it and appreciate what it's doing, then not everybody will, because it can be a little tiresome sometimes, means that you can have one of the most satisfying experiences in video games. I can say this to you. The final boss of this game, and one of the hardest endings you can do, you can have phases with that fight that last around 40 seconds, if not less, or it can last several minutes, depending on how well you play. This game gets better the better you get at it, which is pretty crazy. The more fun it is, it's most fun when you are actually very, very good at it. And until that point, it can be a little frustrating, especially in these earlier enemies that are basically trying to teach you this system. And that's all they're here for. So, you might ask, how do you deplete a posture bar, right? How do we do that? Well, it's relatively simple. If you're used to parrying in Dark Souls or Bloodborne, it's very similar to that. You see this parry system? You have to watch what he's doing and then put up your guard. And then you'll see a variety of clangs, alright? So if I hold my guard up, I will take no damage. See this? Look at my health bar. It's not going anywhere. But my posture bar will increase. See? I'm taking no damage while this is happening. However, you see the way the enemy's getting more and more frustrated. And he'll just start whittling down my posture bar. And when my posture runs out, he'll be able to punish me quite severely. And that's something we don't want to have happen. Instead, you can see I'm doing nothing to him while I'm doing this, right? He's not even got his posture bar to come up. It's not even appearing. However, see that? If we time our deflects to be at the perfect moment when he strikes me, like this, then that will not do barely anything to me. See, my posture bar remains relatively still. But what it will do is huge amounts of posture damage to him, allowing me to pretty much instantly fill his posture bar and kill him, certainly with the trash enemies. Now, bosses are obviously significantly more difficult to do that with. But what it does mean, once you get pretty good at it, it means that enemies should be afraid of you and not the other way around. You'll be able to tackle everything in the game with no fear and able to go out and about and explore in a way you couldn't really do in the Souls games at all, because you become very, very, very confident. Not in the fact that you can monster enemies down, and in fact the game actively prevents you from being able to zerg the game down. And I'll explain that in a moment. But instead because you can outplay every enemy. Now the enemies can obviously outplay you. And also, these are the trash enemies, so what you can do, there is some stealth elements to the game. It's very rudimentary. Honestly, like, people can't see you even if they're staring at you sometimes. It's very weird. You'll see there's a relatively mediocre stealth bar. In fact, if we... let's just get out of combat here. Let's just dive up here. And we'll just wait for that guy to sort of reset back to his position because we ran away. Now, I will mention something here because you probably just realized it. Is you don't have to fight anything in this game, really, besides the main story bosses. You absolutely do not. So if we head up here, you can see there I'm trying to get up to this one. There we go. If we... where are we? Let's pop over to this tree. Let's jump on this roof and come around this corner. You can avoid practically everything. You can. So you might say, what's the point in fighting, Mike? Like, what would be the point? There's a convenient little bonfire here. What is the point in fighting? Well, they've been pretty clever about that. Check this out. So you'll notice in the menu when I'm at the bonfire is, on the right-hand side in this box, you can see I have 0 out of 4 prayer beads, and next to that I have 10 vitality, and I have 0 out of 1 memories, and I have 1 attack power. This comes back to what people kind of dislike about this game. Not only is it lacking a lot of any of the RPG elements that they had in the Dark Souls and Bloodborne series, so you can't upgrade your stamina, you can't go into endurance, you can't go into more damage, depending on how you want to build your character. You certainly can't do magic or anything like that. In this one, they wanted to make sure that when you got to certain points in the game, you would not be overpowered. They want you to have a satisfying experience in terms of what they consider to be satisfying. So one of the ways they do that is you can't upgrade the damage Sekiro does without killing a major story boss. It's the only way. Because memories, which are next to attack power here, only come from story bosses. It's the only location they exist. So you can't approach a boss without, with like way higher damage, or certainly a story boss, than you should have. Like, it's not possible. The game doesn't allow it to happen. What you can do, though, depending on how good you are, is you can skip over the whole game and go straight to the main story bosses. There's only about, what, 10? Something like that. Even if you're doing the extra bosses, depending on the ending you're going for. There's 4 endings in the game. You can skip over the whole game and go straight to that. I could go straight to the next main story boss in order to progress the story. And I could just skip right to it. However, I will miss out on prayer beads. Now, prayer beads... In fact, if we rest here... Prayer beads only come, for the most part, there are a couple that are out in the world. They only come from the mini-bosses, of which there's about 40 plus. There's a lot of mini-bosses. And I'm pretty sure there's one down here. Yeah, there's one here. Okay, you see the guy stood next to the flag down there? That's a mini-boss. Now, first I'm going to pick this up. We're going to talk about it in a moment. This is our first prosthetic upgrade, if I agree. Yeah, so you'll find prosthetic upgrades out in the world. This is our shuriken wheel. We're going to modify that to the prosthetic arm, and that will give us access to throwing shurikens. Now, throwing shurikens do a little bit of damage, but their main purpose, as most prosthetic tools have kind of a gimmick attached to them, not all of them, but most of them, the shurikens generally knock anything out of the air and stun them. So if something should be jumping at you, or happens to be an ethereal creature which can walk above you, or does some sort of massive leap in the air where they're going to crash down on you, you can shuriken them, and that will stun them and knock them down, allowing you to open your attack. So you might think, Mike, it sounds like this is really limited, because we hold up guard, we take no damage, or we time this, and that's the whole game, right? No, absolutely not. It's the combat system, like I say, once you get past it, and there is no doubt whatsoever, you're going to be doing this from now until the end of the game. You will be deflecting a lot of attacks. That is the nature of the beast. However, it does get more in depth than that. So let's show a couple of things here with this mini-boss. Firstly, mini-bosses are kind of interesting. So let's see if we can see the stealth bar, so you can see, like, I could walk right up to here. He's still not even noticed me at all. He might just see he's filling up because he's kind of noticed me, yeah? And it's going back down. So you do get some leeway with it. Like I say, it's a very rudimentary stealth system. Now, if I highlight this guy, you can see he has 2 red circles above his health bar. That means he has 2 complete health bars that you have to deplete. So in order to kill him, I need to kill him twice, essentially. Now, what's the point in that? One is so that you can't just zerg enemies down, because even mini-bosses, for the most part, nearly every single one, is in some way susceptible to a stealth opener, which will completely eradicate one of their health bars. And some of the main story bosses are even susceptible to that as well. That means you can't just monster them and move on, right? But it does make your time easier should you manage to pull off the stealth attack. Also, health is tied to how posture works. So, in fact, we're not going to use this guy. Let's use one of the weaker enemies so I can highlight this. As I said, you rarely deplete a health bar in order to kill an enemy, but that doesn't mean health is irrelevant. You can, of course, just deplete their health bar and do sort of more Dark Souls-y play, where you're kind of hopping around, trying to pick your attacks. It's just not the way they want you to play. I'll be totally honest with you, that is not how they want you to play. They want you to be mixing defense and offense in a relentless attack. What you can do is your posture regenerates at a very different rate. Dogs is a bad one for this. Let's go and find a fellow. Somebody who wants to play. Sorry, doggos. I will be back. Don't worry, dogs. Whee! Yeah, there's some fellows down here that we can play with. Of course, resting does regenerate all, or bring back all the trash enemies. Is there a guy around here? There usually is. Yeah, there he is. Okay. So, if he hits me once... Hit me, friend. Again, this is the sort of tutorial area, so not a huge amount of damage. See, my posture bar regenerates rather quickly. Now, if you think of it like percentages, the lower your health is, the slower your posture regenerates. So you can see, if I let him hit me a couple of times, look how much slower my posture is regenerating now. Much, much slower. I don't want to be shot to death. But this also is true of the enemies. Right? That's something you need to bear in mind. It's also true of the enemies. And the bosses. So the lower we get their HP, the slower their posture regenerates, allowing you to kind of have this balancing act. If you can relentlessly, brutally assault a boss and you can kill him while he has still 90% HP, should you play well enough, right? Should you play well enough, that is exactly what will happen. Good shot, by the way. Not really. That was kind of straight on. Again, you get to choose whether you die or resurrect, depending on your scenario. So if you're not confident that resurrecting is going to do anything, you can just die and save some dragon rot for the entire world. So even though you are maybe just doing minimal damage, that is still working towards some goal. In fact, that his posture won't regenerate as quickly. That allows you later to build it up at a better pace, allowing you to get that death blow in a reasonable amount of time, right? Now, as I just said, this game gets better the better you are at it. And that means that, as I said, even the very toughest bosses in this game, if you understand exactly how they work and you mix in everything from perfect defense to wonderful offense, you're very, very able to, in fact, crush the bosses into the ground. It's a game that heavily rewards good play and good understanding. So let's look at a number of different ways of playing. In fact, we're just going to let this guy see us. I want to show you the new thing, and it's here. This perilous attacks. Perilous attacks will get a red kanji that appears, and there's 4 ways you can deal with these. Okay, it's only listing 3 now because we are missing something else. But one of them is thrust attacks. You can try and deflect them. Okay, so that's what we've talked about earlier. Putting up your guard and trying to time it perfectly so you can deflect it. Or if you have to watch what the guy's doing, if he's leaning down and going for a sweep, you need to jump over it. And if he's trying to grab you, you need to dodge away. So we have 3 different variations there. And in fact, we will get a 4th relatively early called the Mikiri counter. Now let's have a look what this looks like. See? So that's a sweep. So what did it tell us in the tutorial? It said, okay, you need to jump over that, right? So what does that look like? Let's see if we can get him to do it. There it is. So he can jump away. Okay, he didn't hit me. Great. That is okay. That's a decent way of dealing with it, right? That's a decent way of dealing with it. However, what the game wants you to do... Oh, wasn't expecting him to do it straight away there. What the game wants you to do is turn their defense or their big assault into your attack. If I can get the guy to do what I'm after, that would be nice. I'm going to die trying to demonstrate this. See, oh, almost. We have to be good. You see when I don't get the perfect counters, see the way he broke my posture there? So what we actually want to do, if we can get him to do it. Friend. Always trying to get an enemy to do something. Come on. Oh, there's the grab. Okay, so we're going to get away from the grab. Come on. Do it again. Come on. It's teasing me. See that? So you can jump in any direction and you will avoid what he's trying to do. Like this, right? That's fine. But I'm not being offensive with it. What's actually better is being able to turn that into my offense, and it deals a significant amount of stagger damage to him. It's point. Oof. Broke my posture. Broke my posture. Let's have a heal. Oh. Went for a dodge instead. And what this means is, once you get it right, once you get this right, it actually becomes such a fun experience. Because you become like the god of like his control. You're not afraid of him. Slightly missed there. And it's all about precision. Getting it right is just so satisfying. But it is difficult. But you can see how that then becomes satisfying. Now you'll notice I'm doing this kind of twitching. Unfortunately, having finished the game, you do learn that this is the kind of best way to play if you're not sure of the timings of something. Certainly the earlier enemies. Like these guys are very early game. These early game enemies, they attacked in a kind of very slow... There, you see that? A very slow manner that's kind of awkward to track, honestly. So I hope you understand how that works. So let's reset. Again, these are just mini-bosses out in the open world. You can just go away if you don't want to fight them. Ain't no problem. Ain't no problem. Now, another way of fighting them is the Dark Souls style, which is like just popping away, chipping in and doing damage. But as you can see, the game really wants you to turn their offense into defense. So I'm going to try, this might screw up, I'm going to try and be a little bit more relentless against this guy here. And kind of give you an idea of how ham you can go. He might beat me though. It's always a risk when you go ham. It's certainly with an enemy you've not studied, like as much as you would study, say, a boss or something like that. So we're going to get a stealth attack on him. Yeah, we're going to deplete one of his health bars straight away. So if I screw this up, it's no problem. For you guys, I'll show you. Didn't quite get the stomp, that's okay. Gonna jump out of the way of that. Ooh, no stomperoo. He's trying to regenerate his stagger. Again, jump to the side. Not ideal. And again. Nah. Boom. And you can see, I took 0 damage. You took 0 damage. Mini-boss dead. And we got a prayer bead. And collecting 4 of those will give us a health upgrade, and our posture bar will be considerably larger. And over the course of the game, you're going to be fighting tons of really interesting, and some of them are extremely hard mini-bosses in order to achieve that. So that's how that works. Now, if I should have died, what are the penalties? Is it just the dragon rot? No, you lose experience, and you lose money. You lose experience and you lose money. Now, what is experience for? It's actually not that bad. In fact, let's quit out of this character. I want to show you a late game character. Let's go over to here. Again, no story spoilers are coming. I just want to kind of show you this off and make it work for you. I'm trying to be as non-spoilery as possible for you guys here. So if we go into our character, this character has finished the game. Here he is. It says 57 hours there, but I leave the game running for many hours when I'm not playing it. Usually when I finish streaming, I just leave my PC on and I go spend a few hours with the kids and things like that. So that is not accurate of how long it took me to take it. I would say it probably took me about 40 hours or something like that to explore everything as possible. Now this is my late game character. Hello, you can see his health bar considerably larger. I have extra bonuses in the bottom left. I also have a number of prosthetic tools like loaded spears. Yeah, I have firecrackers. I have shurikens. You'll notice they are using a consumable, so you can't spam these abilities, which is a very good restriction they put in the game, because some of them are very powerful. Let's take a look. So you can see we've got fully unlocked bar here. Now, prosthetic tools go in here. You can see we have a lot. We have axes. We have poison swords. We have 3 varieties of firecrackers. We have flamethrowers. We have a mist raven, which allows us to dodge. And we have the ability to turn enemies around and a whistle in order to draw the attention of enemies. I am missing 1 prosthetic in the game. Unfortunately, the NPC for it has disappeared from our game world, just due to where the story progression is. We also have a number of customization options. So, obviously, without the leveling and RPG elements, people thought you were kind of pigeonholed into this style of play. Certainly in the early games. It takes a while to unlock stuff. It really does. You'll be very late in the game and it'll give you like an entire extra tree of things to unlock. So let's have a look here. We go here. We can upgrade our prosthetics a lot. And each of these works differently than the previous variation. These are not boring, does 5% more damage and stuff like that. Some of them are stun duration increases, but you have to choose that. So you can have things like spring-loaded. So they do spring-loaded firecrackers. They'll go off a bit quicker. Or you can have long spark. So it's not as quick, but it will carry a stun with it. Longest duration stun. We can then turn, and once we've got that upgrade and we've upgraded our axe, we can then make a sparkling axe. And you can see how the tech trees flow together to end up with purple fume sparks and all sorts of things. Golden vortexes, and I haven't even locked these. Now you might say, you finished the fucking game, Mike, and you haven't done any of this. You will notice the huge amount of resources that I have. These are things that you will collect in the world and loot. On the bottom right-hand corner, required materials. I did not use the prosthetics a lot, I'll be honest with you. I very much enjoyed the combat system all on its own. I used the prosthetics when I felt they were necessary, but didn't go deep into this. So I have that. Now, you might look at the money. You can see there it's red. It says 1,500. These are called sen. When you die, you lose half your experience and half your sen. Now, that's not as punishing as it sounds. So what does experience go towards? So let's come away from here. Experience goes to, as you might imagine, acquiring skills. So if we come over to here, at this, you see I have a number more options here now. You can see I have a memory, which for killing the final boss, which allows me to upgrade my DPS. And I have 3 out of 4 prayer beads, 1 more, and I can get vitality. We go to acquire skills, which you can only do at these shrines. You can see that bar there, where the blue bar that says 2 and going up. As I said, when you die, you lose half your experience and half your coin. But that only counts up until the previous level. So if I ticked over into level 3, when I died, I would not go back to 2. Once I've acquired the 3 skill points, I have 3 skill points. It's as simple as that. It won't take any more off me. And you can see there we have a whole slew of special skills and abilities to unlock. We have things that modify how we use our prosthetic arm and special finishing abilities here. And we have Ashina Arts, which then goes into different forms of combat and how that works with special abilities at the end. So you're saying special abilities, Mike? I am. I am indeed. So if we come back to here. Here we have combat arts. Now you have 2 slots here. One for your chosen combat art, of which we have a few, and there's several more in the skill tree to unlock, as you just saw. And these based on what you want to do. You want to do a whirlwind slash, and these are done with the bumper buttons. Hold them together. So we got a whirlwind slash to go with that. I found the most useful was the Ichimonji double, or the Ichi as we called it. This is a wonderful ability, and all these special abilities have some sort of added bonus should you be able to pull them off. So the Ichi, for example, does high posture damage. It doesn't do a great deal of damage, but it does a great deal of posture damage, and it also recovers your own posture, right? Now, the thing that's really cool about this is that, as I mentioned earlier with the posture system and how it relates to health, is once their health is getting lower, so it's dropping to like 80, 90%, even 90% is useful, finding an opportunity to throw in an Ichi will in fact give them so much stagger that you can really start working towards finishing that fight early. But it takes a second. Here you go. Not easy to find that opportunity, I've got to tell you. It's not easy to find the opportunity to throw that in there. But if you can, it pays dividends. And it was one of the most useful things. Looking for really late game bosses where you can slip in an Ichi was a very cool experience. Especially once you can do it in midair like that. So you can actually like jump over an ability, come in with an Ichi and start like really going to town on them, right? So you get this awesome modification to your combat play. You also get a choice of a ninjutsu. As you can see here, I have puppeteer ninjutsu where I can... If I get a backstab death blow, it has to be very specific, a backstab death blow, I can then use my ninjutsu in order to convert them to me. And I have a little extra helper there. Or I could use Bloodsmoke ninjutsu, which turns me back into stealth. Now you can see these costly spirit emblems, same as your prosthetic weapon here. In terms of losing money, not that bad either. They've come up with a banking system. It feels a little contrived, but it works. So you lose half your coin if you die. However, what you can do is you will find these out in the world, and you can buy them from vendors, is you can actually bank them. Yeah. In these coin purses. So like a heavy coin purse will hold 500 sen. These won't disappear when you die. So if you have a lot of money, so we were walking around at some point with like 3,000 sen, going to a vendor like this, going to some merchant and say purchase items, is we can go down and we can actually buy coin purses. They can see they cost 10% more than they hold. But that's worthwhile because you're not going to lose them. So if you have a lot of money on you, it's worth going buying a lot of heavy coin purses. You've banked them for later. And therefore you're good should you die again, right? You're good should you die again. So that, for the most part, is how the game works. That's everything I kind of wanted to show you. What I will do is I'll travel up to here just to show you the most satisfying ability in the game. When people say it's a quick time event, it's not true, especially when more and more perilous attacks come in. Being able to time your attacks is dependent on the enemy instead of it being sort of a prompt on to do it. You have to physically be watching what the enemy's doing. I did find Sekiro, I'll be totally honest with you, quite mentally tiring. Like, after a good few hours of play, I was feeling like, oof, I'm kind of tired out. There is fall damage, by the way, but you do have to fall from a long way. So, moving through the world, see this? I'm now going to puppeteer him because I got the backstab. Then we'll deal with this guy. I love these monk bros because they just use their fists. Knock him off balance and take him out. I'm going to fight this guy. And hopefully I can get him to do it. If he feels tasty enough. Do it, friend. Show me. I want to show the people. Do it. Come on. I'm waiting for him to do something rather specific. Hopefully my friend here won't take aggro, which he probably will. I don't think he'll win, though. No. You fight him. Do it. The battle of the two monks. Who's your money on? My guy. My guy for the win. Let's go and aggro these. What I want to show you is the Mikiri counter. This is done by enemies with... Generally, even sword enemies can do it. But it's usually done primarily by people with spears and staffs. And it's when they try and thrust into you. You have to learn this skill, but you get it very early on. That was a sweep. There's a lot of people trying to have fights with me here. Go away. Now, you don't have a spear. Let's get rid of these guys without the spears. We want our spear friends. That's what I'm after. Not you. He just went for it then. No, that's not the one. That's, I think, is that my former puppeted guy? There it is. Oh, yes! Oh, that feels good. Oh, yes. Oh! It feels so good. It really does feel so good. You will notice that AoE looting, by the way. AoE looting is a thing in the game. The enemies do drop coin and things like that. They're not... You can just hold down the button just to literally loot everything that you've killed. It will come from flying from miles away. It really will. Well, the Mikiri counter is an extra ability you'll gain relatively early in the game. Able to stamp on thrusting attacks. I've got to tell you, bosses use it all the way through the game. You have to decide very quickly, are you stamping on someone's head? Are you blocking the attack? Are you dodging out of the way? Or are you going to stamp on their blade and then take full advantage of them? Again, this is what FromSoft wants from you. They want you to turn the defense into offense and totally reverse their offense into your offense as well. And this is how you can decimate even the most powerful enemies in the game in a matter of seconds if you should play correctly. Let's see if we get some friends to come and see us. That guy at the back can see me, but these guys seem to be having a bit of trouble. Yeah, he's noticed me. Whatever. Let's get in here. Who's got a staff? I want a Mikiri. Ooh, it's a bit too far away. He was going for it. I could probably do... Oh, I'm not going to be able to ninjutsu one of these. You know what we can do, though, boys? Had the chance there and I scuffed it. Let's take this one out. Who's next? Huh? You? You sure? Ooh, was slightly the wrong direction. Yeah. Oh, he kicked me right in the head. One of them's got the staff next, the left. Nice parry. You know what I want from you. You know what I'm after. Come on. Show me potato salad. Come on. Come on. Come on. No. No one wants to see that. Do it. But you can see why I don't think the quick time is fair, because the perilous attacks, which are the big thing you'll need to master for sure. Rather deflecting you'll do through the whole game. Watch. Whoop. Very cool. I like that. Some of the enemies are so well animated, it's crazy. He's not going for it. He knows I'm going to get him. That's not what we're doing today, son. I'm looking for you. Alright, fine. Huh? Come on. Don't make me kill you now. Be a friend of the channel. Rate and subscribe. Rate and subscribe, dude. No. Nobody wants to see that. I'm always a little spammy with my guard on staff attacks, because they can attack you from either side, so it's not always clear which one's going to get you. Come on. Have you forgotten how to do it, or what? Huh? Don't lie to me. I know you can do it. Thank you. Oh, there it is. Oh! Oh, take it. Take it. It always feels good. It always feels good. It really does. There's a lot to like here. But if you're not going to... I mean, I'm toying around with enemies, but you can clearly see that you could go absolutely ham on this game. And that's from easiest enemy to hardest enemy to the biggest bosses. You could go insane on them. And it's all down to how you play. You have to be careful, measured, considered. You can swap in a variety of attacks at will. Or you can have a big chunker turn up out of nowhere. What up, friend? He's got a baseball bat. Look at this guy. Nope. These enemies are really good for teaching you, yes, you can deflect everything. And if you do it right, like that, you can take them out very quickly, very efficiently. It doesn't matter how big they are. They will fall if you time it correctly and you bully them to the ground. Making you, once you get comfortable with this, the absolute beast that Sekiro really, really wants you to be. Ladies and gentlemen, enjoy Sekiro, should you like it. Be aware, you are undoubtedly going to be pressing guard quite a lot. But you're also going to become an absolute monster. Bye-bye.